Welcome back to my channel. In today's video, as you can tell, I will be painting Super Saiyan 4 Goku from Dragon Ball Daima. Stay tuned. Now let's get started. Now that I'm done with my design, I'm going to outline it with this acrylic marker in this particular brand. So if you guys are into anime or barely getting into anime, definitely outline your design with acrylic marker. There's many different sizes. I like this one in particular. It's definitely easier and cleaner. With my anime paintings, I usually like to use deco art to paint my painting. And right now I'm going to cover the whole canvas with this color red. Make sure you add a little water just to dilute it a little, and it gives it a nice layer, and that way when you put paint on top of it, it has already a nice layer. It just goes on really well instead of just a blank white background. Then you're gonna have to add more layers and layers, and it's just like, nah, let's skip all that and just add one layer already. But make sure that you don't use anything super dark. That's why I say make sure you dilute the water. And with acrylic painting, you're gonna have to make a little bit more amount of the color that you're using, because you're gonna go back and add more layers. Sometimes you don't need too much layers, but 2 to 3 would be perfect. Also, in case you guys are wondering where I get my acrylics, I also get this particular brand at Hobby Lobby, and this will work perfect with skin tone, and mix it with this type of brand too, where it's not as expensive. Before I forget to mention this, Hobby Lobby always have a 40% off on their art supplies, so definitely check out their art supplies. Now for the shadow parts of the face, I like to mix brown and a little bit black and red into it to give me the shadow that I'm looking for. And when you're making that skin tone or any skin tone in general, make sure you make enough of that color so that way you can go back to add a second or third layer, or in case you make a mistake with outlining it, you can always fix it up with adding that whatever color you have tone to it. And with the little parts of the face, I like to use a detail brush because it definitely gets into the little corners of the face, and especially with anime, you definitely want to get a really small detail brush. Now I'm adding my highlights. I like to add my highlights very neat, and with the highlights, yes, I'm going to add more than one layer just so that you don't see the line strokes of the paintbrush. And with adding the red tone background, it makes my painting stand out even more. It like pops out more. And the fun thing about acrylic is that if you make a mistake, you can always fix it. Now that I'm done with this part, I'm gonna get started with the hair. And usually when it comes to the hair, well, at least this color, the red tones, you're gonna add a lot of layers. So these are some of the acrylic paints that I'll be using to make the bright pinkish reddish color that Super Saiyan 4 Goku has. And with red, you're gonna add a lot of layers because, as you can tell, it's very see-through, and we don't like that. That's why I said make enough acrylic of that same color so that way you can go back to add more layers. And unfortunately with red, you're gonna add like about 3 to 4 layers. If you get lucky, that'll be awesome, that'll be great, but for the most part, you're gonna have to add a lot of layers because, as you can tell, you can see a lot of paintbrush texture, and we don't want that. I personally don't like to work with red because you see a lot of paint line strokes and you're gonna have to add more than 2 layers, but that's okay. And also yellow is like that too. I don't like using yellow, but you gotta do what you gotta do, so make sure you make enough of that same paint color mix you did. And here's the results so far with all that layer. And yes, I had to add like 4 layers, but look, it came out super great. And don't worry if it has a little shine to it, because if you prefer a nice gloss shine to it, then that's even perfect. But me personally, I like a matte finish, so I like to add a matte seal later when I'm done with the painting, so that way when I take pictures, there's not a big shine to it. Now moving on with the blue, this is the blue acrylic brand Deco Art that I'm going to use. And yes, I got this at Hobby Lobby and it was on sale for, I think, $4.99? Yeah, something like that. So with blues, I love working with blues because you don't have to add so much layers. But don't get me wrong, the more layer, the better. Usually 2 would be great. 3, if you prefer, that's totally fine. But with blue, it goes on so good. And in case you guys want affordable paintbrushes that work really well, definitely check your Hobby Lobby, Walmart, and even Ross. You'd be surprised. And look at how beautiful it's looking so far. It looks so great. Maybe I shouldn't outline it. Just kidding, I'm gonna outline it because we need to make it pop. So now let's get started with outlining it. So with this particular marker acrylic, I got this in Temu. It was pretty affordable. I'll link the description down below so in case you guys are interested. But look they look just like Paco's acrylic markers. So I think they like copied them, but they made it to their own brand. But either way, it works good, just as good. But not as pricey as Paco's acrylic markers, of course. But I literally prefer the Temu marker brands, to be honest, because look how sharp it is. I'm sure they sell sharp ones too, but this one was so smooth and easy to outline my anime design. So I definitely recommend you checking out Temu's acrylic marker brand. Now, the difference between these two markers, besides the pricing, Paco's acrylic markers tend to dry in seconds. So that way, in case you accidentally touched it, it doesn't smudge. Now, with this one, you're going to have to give it a few seconds. I mean, it dries quick, but not as quick as Paco's. But still, just be careful and you should be good. Just don't touch it while you're outlining your design and you won't smudge anything. And just look how smooth that applies to the painting. I freaking love it. I'm so glad I got to use acrylic markers. Definitely way faster and cleaner than a brush. And yes, with this white acrylic marker, it is from Temu as well. Super easy to apply my outline for my anime painting. So if you guys want to ever try markers, I say go for it. I wasn't sure if I was going to use this metallic red, but I decided just to add a little bit on the eye to give it some cool effect, and especially when you take a picture of it or even record it. It gives it a nice metallic shine to it, especially when it hits the light. I definitely didn't want to do too much of it. I was debating if I wanted to add some on the hair, but then I'm like, you know what, I'm just going to add a little bit in the eye just to give it that like interesting look to it. And now for the background, I'm making it a super bright red so that the painting can pop out. Now to finish off my design, I'll be adding this Angelo's flat black acrylic painting and using the sponge to paint my edges. And trust me when I say use a sponge and not a brush to paint the edges, because it comes out super clean and super fast and easy to do. So I'm just going to pour a little bit because it's very liquid already, liquidish, and you can add a little water too if you want to. And I definitely recommend this particular brand because look at just by one layer, it gives it a good coverage. And I definitely recommend this brand particular, especially those that like to paint the sides black. I usually would prefer to paint the sides just to not leave it so plain and white. So from what I've learned throughout this whole year of painting, always paint the sides. It doesn't have to be necessarily black. And here is the finishing touch. Thank you guys so much for watching my videos. Don't forget to like and subscribe. It'll definitely let me know that you guys are enjoying what I'm doing and you would like to see more videos like this. And leave a comment in what you want to see next. And also, if you guys have any questions for me, I'll love to answer them. And in case you guys are interested in purchasing this painting or other paintings in the near future, definitely check out my Instagram at Art by Stacy. I'll leave it right here as you can see, or in the description below. So definitely let me know, or even let me know in the comments below. But thank you guys again for watching. Until next time, bye!